Hi guys, John Campy here. I'm the senior editor of Script to Screen. You know, one of the things that I always say is that the most beautiful thing about film is the pure subjectivity of it. And what's more subjective than movie lists? And as we've come to the end of the 2000 decade, we thought it would be a good idea to put together our lists of the top films of the decade that was. Joining me in this little project is Christina Warren, contributing writer for Script to Screen, and Script to Screen's associate editor, Kelvin Chavez. Now, each one of us put together a list of 10 films that we consider to be the best of the decade, and we've compiled them all here for you now. So let's get started.
Casino Royale. Who could think that a blonde guy would be a great James Bond? He's a great James Bond. Daniel Craig. Very cool.
I think that's one of the best reboots besides the other reboots that have come out for James Bond, you know?
You know, I said for a long time, it'd be so great to have a James Bond that looks like he could kick your ass and not just kiss it, and we got that. I mean, this is James Bond. Daniel Craig is James Bond, and he made James Bond cool again. He made him exciting again. I don't know if there was a movie in the past 10 years that you get so immersed in, like it just gets so much into the culture, and it's a thick and deep and impacting story.
Oh, no, I mean, I thought City of God was one of the best movies that time of that year because it was really good. I mean, granted, my parents, or at least my father, is from Brazil, and I know how it is, and that's one of the reasons I really like that movie a lot, and it's true. That's how it is out there.
Man, if you had to pick one movie that was going to be the one you should show kids to keep them off drugs, Requiem for a Dream was the movie.
Darren Aronofsky's film is not only one of the best adaptations of books of film of all time, but Ellen Bernstein's performance, Marlon Wayne's performance, Jared Leto, the whole thing, like you want to like die after you watch it, but it's one of those films that just, it doesn't leave you. Eva. One of the best Pixar films ever, and for a film with so little dialogue, it says so much.
I mean, come on, the entire, first half of the film, this entire touching, moving, glorious story is all told basically without dialogue at all. I mean, and that's just, I mean, it was the best film of the year that it was out, and I think it really deserves a spot on this best of the decade list. Easily, to me, the funniest film of the past 10 years. And because as a comedy, not only did it make you laugh with, you know, a lot of comedies just rely on sight gags and quick one thing, but the 40-Year-Old Virgin was masterful in that it had a lot of quick one-shot sight gags, like the ripping of the hair off the chest, but it also had a lot of built-up humor, like jokes that are built up and prolonged and built upon as the entire film progresses.
Probably the best representation of what the future will actually look like.
Oh, you know what I like also about it? The whole advertising. When you're walking down the subway station, everything's on the sides advertised, all digital.
Good sci-fi isn't just lasers and spaceships. Good sci-fi also explores the realms of possibility. And Steven Spielberg, who I'm almost convinced can do no wrong, really takes us there with Minority Report.
The best backward film I've ever seen.
So cool when it came out, and it went from being a gimmick, which it is, to actually being a pretty decent film, even if you were to watch it in reverse. It's a really cool idea of what happens, especially with the way everything happens. It's a great film. Come on. What did they say at the end? What did he whisper to her?
So apparently Bill Murray doesn't just do straight comedy. Who knew?
That's the first time, you know, a lot of people took notice of Scarlett Johansson, I think.
I think it was A Beautiful Mind that served notice that Russell Crowe, regardless of what you think of him, is probably the single best actor alive today.
However true or not true it is to the real story, it's a beautiful story, and I think that's kind of what it highlights, is that sometimes films can supersede truth, and it can become something better than what the original might actually be.
It's a great film all around, but the highlight is the single greatest performance by any actor or actress of the past decade, and that was the performance of Daniel Day-Lewis in this. He won the Oscar for it, and if there was an Oscar for Best Performance of the Decade, he'd get it for his role in this movie.
Junebug, small film. 2005 was a great year for film, but I think that it's my favorite. if you aren't already in love with Amy Adams from everything that she's been in since 2007 or so, watch Junebug and see her performance, which is so understated and so pure and so true, and it's just one of those films where every aspect of it is absolutely perfect.
That one actually gave competition to, you know, James Bond, and I think that's one of the reasons why Casino Royale, you know, they revamped the whole Bond series with going back to the prequel and how he became Bond and stuff like that, because the Bourne movies are just kicking their butts.
Matt Damon is such a badass. Like, everybody's like, oh, Ben Affleck's like the more hardcore of the two. Matt Damon rules. And in the Bourne films, he completely is showing that he's like this buff and also smart type of criminal in this world, and the car chases and all the computer stuff. And I love Bourne movies.